In the public debate surrounding abortion, many who oppose abortion use strategies that are offshoots of deeper philosophical arguments. These strategies involve showing graphic images of aborted fetuses, raising the accusation that abortion kills babies, making legal objections to Roe v. Wade, and appealing to brain scans and ultrasound imaging of fetuses experiencing pain. However, because of the abstract nature of the philosophical arguments, or lack of exposure to academic journals, many who are involved in the abortion debate have not considered the philosophical foundations for the view that abortion is immoral. The Wrong of Abortion by Patrick Lee and Robert P. George presents one of the strongest and most foundational philosophical arguments against abortion. In the introduction to their essay, Lee and George accomplish three things. First, they clarify that, instead of answering the often publicly debated question of whether abortion should be unlawful in most circumstances, they will answer the question, quote, "Is the choice to have, to perform, or to help procure an abortion morally wrong?" End quote. Shifting away from the legal question, the authors want to answer the moral question. Second, they provide their answer that, quote, "The choice of abortion is objectively immoral," end quote. Importantly, Lee and George clarify that they use the phrase objectively immoral because they are discussing the objective moral status of the choice of abortion and not the subjective guilt or innocence of someone who chooses abortion. For example, someone may choose to have an abortion based upon a misunderstanding of the facts of abortion or a misunderstanding of their duties. And if they are not at fault for their misunderstanding, then they would be subjectively innocent while making an objectively immoral choice. Third, Lee and George provide a roadmap, indicating the progression of their essay. This roadmap explains that they will consider the question, what is killed in an abortion? Set forth some evidence that what is killed in an abortion is a human embryo, which is a human being, and then explore the ethical significance of this answer. The reason they chose this route is because there is widespread agreement that A, something is killed in an abortion, and B, the moral status of whatever is killed is a central issue in the abortion debate. To answer the question, what is killed in an abortion, Lee and George consider the biological facts of sexual reproduction found in standard embryology texts. They cite how, quote, "In the case of ordinary sexual reproduction, an individual human being begins with complete fertilization, which yields a genetically and functionally distinct organism, possessing the resources and active disposition for internally directed development toward human maturity," end quote. As Lee and George explain, normal conception involves the sex cell of the father, a sperm, uniting with the sex cell of the mother, an ovum. This union produces a new organism, a human embryo. Guided by the unique set of DNA it received from the fusion of the chromosomes of the sperm and ovum, the human embryo begins as a single cell and then gradually develops the organs and organ systems required for a fully functioning mature human being. The embryo rapidly develops, such that within 8 or 10 weeks, it possesses a beating heart, a recognizably human form, a complete brain with some but not all of its synaptic connections, and the ability to feel pain. From the general biological facts of conception, Lee and George draw 3 important points about the human embryo. First, the human embryo is different from any cell of the mother or father because the growth of the human embryo is from within and toward its own survival and maturation. Second, given the embryo's genetic makeup, it is human. And third, and most importantly, though the human embryo may not be fully mature, it is a complete or whole organism. Following conception, the human embryo solely and actively develops itself toward human maturity. Before concluding their argument regarding human embryos, Lee and George consider 2 objections. First, they consider the objection that if one says that human embryos are human beings, since they have the potential to become mature humans, one must also affirm that sperm and ova are human beings, since they also have the potential to become mature humans. In response, Lee and George argue that, whereas human embryos are whole and complete organisms, the same cannot be said about sperm and ova. Given the chromosomes sperm and ova contain, they are genetically identifiable parts of the potential parents. Furthermore, sperm and ova are functionally identifiable parts of the potential parents, because they must either cease to exist after combining with another sex cell to produce a new organism, or die. The second objection is that human embryos are comparable to somatic cells, for example, skin cells or muscle cells. Their response to this objection echoes their response to the prior objection by pointing out how somatic cells are functionally part of larger organisms, whereas human embryos actively develop themselves toward full maturity. In considering the biological facts of sexual reproduction, the objections raised above, and their responses to those objections, Lee and George draw the overarching conclusion, quote, "In abortion, what is killed is a human being, a whole living member of the species Homo sapiens, the same kind of entity as you or I, only at an earlier stage of development," end quote.